If I leave here, it's going to be for somewhere that I feel like we can win the national championship or compete for a national championship. If I don't think that the resources are there to compete for a national championship, I don't think that, resources meaning staff,
Yeah.
meaning NIL, all the stuff that goes with it, and obviously, we want to be in a multi-bid league.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That voice you just heard was from Will Wade, the current head coach of McNeese State. And according to reports that are streaming in now, the next head coach at NC State. You want to get to know Will Wade a little bit? You want to know a little something about Will Wade? I can tell you a few things. One, he can coach. Okay, let's get that out of the way. This is why he was mentioned for the Indiana job. This is why before Texas made the NCAA tournament, there were rumors that if Texas moved on from their coach, he would be one of their top options. This is why NC State, the moment their job became open, fans started the hashtag Wade to State, and it was just going and going and going. It's because he wins a lot. Going back, by the way, for those of you saying like, "Oh, I really wanted Ryan Odom." Ryan Odom coaches at VCU. Will Wade's been there. He won 25 games and 26 games, averaging just 10 losses per season back between the 15-16 season and 16-17 season. He's done that. Then he went to LSU, where I believe he proved his bona fides as a Power 5 basketball coach. Again, there are the accusations of some recruiting rule breaking that happened there, but those rules aren't the rules anymore, right? You couldn't pay players. You talked numbers with players. You got recorded onto a phone and people played it and everybody acted like you were a bad dude. Now, if you're not talking numbers and money with players, you're not doing your job. So it's a different world. At LSU, he finished as high as 12th in the AP final polls, made the NCAA tournament 3 out of his 5 years, including the last 2 years he was the coach at Louisiana State. But here's the part that really excited me. And you could say it was because of the money that was discussed, or you could say it's because everybody was doing that and he was just good at it. The years that I counted just during the commercial break for recruiting classes, that he had like a full recruiting cycle and brought players into LSU. 18, 19, 20, 21. Those were the years, the recruiting classes. He had the 4th ranked recruiting class in the country, the 31st ranked recruiting class in the country, the 4th, and the 8th. 3 of the 4 main recruiting classes he's had at a power conference school, he has been in the top 10 in the country. He brought in those 4 classes 5 different 5-star recruits, one at least in each class. Now, again, you could turn it around and say that it was because offering. I believe there were a lot of schools that were offering money back then. He's not the only one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's been proven again. NC State.
There you go.
With Mark Gottfried and Dennis Smith Jr., the whole Adidas thing. That happened here, so we know it.
He also has been, as a recruiting kind of wizard, credited for some of the top non-Power 5 recruiting classes at VCU, some of the top non-Power 5 recruiting classes at Chattanooga prior to that. The guy can recruit, and that's a lot about what college basketball is. Now, we have Rob Doster, Field of 68. He talked about Will Wade. Dennis, where was this? I want to make sure we give the accreditation.
This is on the Adam Gold Show with me a couple days ago.
There you go. Rob Doster on the Adam Gold Show talking about Will Wade.
I think he just makes a lot of sense there, right? Like there's a little bit of the underdog mentality. There's a little bit of, there's 2 blue bloods that are NC State's rivals, and I think Will Wade would absolutely relish the idea of being the team that comes in and and beats both of them and then rubs their noses in it and then lets everyone know, hey, look, you know what? No one thought that we could win this, and we just won the ACC. Like that is the kind of stuff that Will Wade lives for. Mm-hmm. I remember talking with him about the way that he schedules with McNeese State, and he says, yeah, we'll roll up on a bus. We'll come in there. We'll beat your behinds in your own gym, and then we'll take the bus home and eat, $2 footlongs on the way home from Subway, right? Like, that's just his mentality. Like, he doesn't care about anything else but getting a bunch of dudes that want to get out there and ball and hoop and compete at the level that he wants to compete at. And he's got a personality that I think the State fan base, at least the online portion of the State fan base, would really, really embrace once you get to know him.
I agree with everything Rob That was my first time hearing that audio. I agree with everything he just said there. There is a quiet, and this is a bit moronic. There is a quiet, combative confidence about Will Wade, where it just kind of emanates from his pores that like he knows he's got it. Just today, and it's kind of perfect if you're State. Just today, an article came out, not that long ago, about him acknowledging to the media today that he had spoken with NC State, right? And he's this is where I said he's like, I'm not going to BS my players, like they know it, they see social media, like I tell them, and I spoke with NC State. I'm paraphrasing. That's basically what he said. Do you know what else was in that very same article? Same exact, it was revealed later on in the same media session. He's a Clemson football fan. Now you may be saying that's a terrible idea. It's being leaked that he's the NC State basketball coach, and one of their rivals in conference, their game is named. Like he's admitting that he's a Clemson football fan, and I'm going like, yeah, because he's got that quiet, combative. He is him, and he doesn't care what you think. Which I actually think is going to play with NC State. Not the whole Clemson football fan thing, but when he is himself, when he is confident, when he doesn't care what you think of him, State fans are going to rally behind that. State fans are going to rally behind that.
I mean, he began his career as a student manager on the Clemson men's basketball team. Like, he went to Clemson.
And one of his assistants was a player at Clemson.
Yeah.
And, but it's just, if I'm trying to get like the Auburn job, I'm probably not advertising my Alabama fandom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not Will Wade. Will Wade's like,
he ain't care.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care if I grew up, in Chapel Hill wearing that shade of blue. I'm the best coach for this job, so that's what's going to get me. Like he's got that. He's got that. And quite frankly, I think that's something that's been a bit missing. I mean, look, I don't know if it's intentional. Actually, Dennis, I'll ask you, do you think it's intentional?
That it comes out
the day after UNC had everybody singing their praises for about 12 hours, and suddenly State's like, you know what, we were going to wait until after the McNeese State game.
Let's start leaking this.
But I don't know. People have talked enough about that 14 three-pointers from UNC game. Let's go ahead and take some of those headlines.
So it was interesting. Earlier today, Will Wade was during his press availability because during the NCAA tournament, players and coaches had to be available for a certain amount of time. And he was asked, have you talked to NC State? And he just said yes with a little smile on his face. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, all right. Little wink, wink, nod, nod. Like, we kind of already knew. Mm-hmm. But the question is, like, you still got a game coming up against Clemson.
That's actually,
I mean, that's kind of like, where does this go? I don't know, but it's funny.
We're up against it here. I want to talk about just that. The fact that he is playing his team. He's going to coach McNeese State. If they are the St. Louis, if they are the Fairleigh Dickinson, if they are the small school that goes on a run, he is going to coach McNeese State on that run. And I think that says something about him that a lot of coaches wouldn't do, wouldn't say, wouldn't be as open about. I think it says something about Will Wade.